why we can reach Mars but can't leave it. I'm really curious about space exploration and stuff. So I'm looking forward to what the explanation is. Let's check it out.
How exactly do you picture the first manned mission to Mars? Probably you're thinking of some kind of Apollo-like program, just a lot bigger. An epic launch, a historic touchdown, a couple of selfies in front of the red dunes,
Yeah.
maybe some Matt Damon style survival stuff.
Nah, not really.
Martian, and then a triumphant return to Earth, complete with tears, fireworks, and a ticker tape parade down Fifth Avenue with the whole
You know, let's talk about what are the issues that I already know. As an astronaut, I am actually. What do you think I'm doing when I'm not streaming? It already takes like what 6 to 8 months to get to Mars. Communications take around 8 to 10 minutes. So that would make any instantaneous control or instantaneous communication between Earth and the astronauts impossible.
Sounds perfectly logical, doesn't it? I mean, we already pulled off this exact same trick with the moon.
But the distance is different,
Mars
vastly different.
Is not the moon. The truth, the one that gets buried beneath the headlines and Elon Musk's wonderful promises, is actually fairly terrifying. And that is, whoever takes that first step onto the rusty Martian soil might not ever feel the wind on his face on Earth ever again.
Yeah,
He
how
might
do you come
never
back?
again step outside without a spacesuit.
Yeah.
And he quite possibly might never, ever come home.
Yeah.
In short, it could become a one-way ticket. And the problem isn't simply that the rocket might break or that someone forgets to pack a spare roll of duct tape. No, the honest truth, the reality is, three ruthless forces will be working against that return home: economics, orbital mechanics and engineering, and our own fragile bodies. One may screw us over worst of all. Let's start with the obvious. Mars is far away. No, seriously, it's really, really far away. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson once used a brilliant analogy for this, and that the Earth is just a standard-sized school globe sitting on your desk. Do you know where the moon would be at that scale? Not too far, just about 9 meters away, somewhere in the next room, maybe out in the backyard.
It's
And
really
Mars,
far.
well,
People
Mars,
underestimate how far
on
Mars
that
is.
Same exact scale would be around 1.5 kilometers away at its closest,
Yeah.
and nearly 10 kilometers away at its farthest.
Yeah.
It could be
orbit-
somewhere
because of the shape of the
apart,
orbit.
let's say a couple of neighborhoods over, or all the way across the city on the other side of the railroad tracks. You know, on the bad side of town.
Bhubaneswar,
In
nice.
reality, that is a gaping void of anywhere between 55 and 400 million kilometers. Yikes.
Yeah,
This
dude.
difference
The thing is, you have to account for the, like I was saying, you have to take so much fuel, right? Because Mars is so far away, you have to take so much fuel to get there. You need to have twice the fuel because you need half of it to get there and half of it to come back. Then you need to have the proper orbital mechanics because you ideally want to be as close as possible, and it could take so long for the planet to be in the same position where the distance between Earth and Mars is the same for you to come back. So technically speaking, it is going to cost a lot and it's going to take a lot of time, you know?
muscle, and it translates directly into cost. Huge, big, obscene amounts of money. If the Apollo program cost roughly $200 billion in today's money, estimates of a round-trip mission to Mars float somewhere between 500 billion and a cool trillion. But nobody can honestly put a precise price on it yet because the mission architecture hasn't even been finalized.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen humanity chip in $1 trillion just
It takes billions just to get to the moon. Imagine Mars, which is like vastly more distant.
do something cool and plant a flag? Spoiler alert, never. We flew to the moon not just for the sake of pure science, but largely so one superpower could assert its technological dominance over another at the height of the Cold War. Once the landing had been accomplished, the political urgency faded and the lunar program was scrapped. And if we're heading back to the moon now, with
Mm-hmm.
the Artemis program, competition with China is certainly a big part of the equation, as China has announced plans to send its own taikonauts up there. Good old-fashioned international competition at work. But Artemis is also meant to advance science, establish a lasting presence on the moon,
Mm-hmm.
and prepare for human missions to Mars. But Mars has no Apollo-style geopolitical deadline, at
True.
least not yet. And there's no obvious near-term business case either. Yeah, sure, there's water ice, carbon dioxide, iron.
The reason the reason Artemis mission is happening to go to the moon is because China is working on going to the moon, and US doesn't want China to be the first country to build a base on the moon. So now it's China and US competing to who will build the base on the moon first. Because whoever builds the base first will get credibility, will get reputation. Second, they'll basically be the rulers, quote unquote, because they will be able to have more leverage, get the best land for research. You know, if they just occupy more the land than they're supposed to, who's gonna stop them? Nobody's there. You know, can you produce it on the Mars surface? No, no. It's barren, dude. It's just sand. Not even like Earth sand. It's like useless sand. It's like iron oxide. It's basically rust. Iron on the screen, yeah. It's basically rust. What fuel would you make there?
Plenty of other potentially.
Even if you could use like solar power, or like produce some kind of fuel, you wouldn't have enough fuel to journey all the way back to Earth with you and other things. Because you will need things. Because it'll take what, 6 to 8 months. So you will need food, water, everything for you to travel back.
But the gravity well of Mars, combined with the sheer cost of interplanetary transport, makes exporting bulk resources back to Earth economically absurd. Those materials would be far more valuable on Mars itself as water, oxygen, fuel, and building supplies. No investor in their right mind is just going to dump billions of dollars into a round trip ticket.
Billions over years, so possibly trillions would have to go into research for us to be able to build a base on Mars. Build a base, not even like a good base, just a base.
Just because Mars might contain valuable rocks. But let's play make-believe here for a second. Let's pretend we found the money. Elon Musk opened his wallet, governments chipped in, everybody hugged it out. Meet physics. Specifically, something called the Tsiolkovsky rocket equation.
Yeah.
What the heck is that, you might rightfully
Is this the classic rocket equation? The more fuel you have, so the more weight you have, the more fuel you need. But the more fuel you have, the more fuel you add, the more weight you have. So the more weight you have, the more fuel you need. I think that's the thing.
If you want the astronauts to come back, you need not just a descent module, but an ascent module as well. I mean, they got to get off the planet, right?
So it's like, okay, so if you want to carry fuel, okay, let's say it takes 2 liters. Okay, for simple math, let's say it takes 2 liters of fuel to get to Mars, right? To get back, it would take 2 liters. Okay, that to cover the distance. But to carry the 2 liters for the way back that you have to carry on your first way there, you would have to add more fuel. So you would have to make it, let's say, 4 liters, right? 4 liters on the way there, 2 liters on the way back. So total 6 liters. So now it's total 6 liters. But for the total 6 liters, you would need more fuel. So, so it's a compounding problem.
During the moon landings, that module was relatively light.
You should look at how much of a rocket is fuel, dude. It's so funny. Look at that. That is the structure of a rocket. That part you see, that is the payload. That is where the astronauts are. That is where everything is. All this is just fuel. Majority of a rocket is just fuel, because the more fuel you add, the more fuel you need to carry that fuel. Is the funniest thing ever.
Lunar gravity is only 1/6 that of Earth's, and there's zero atmosphere on the moon.
Yeah.
Martian gravity is already 38% of Earth's, plus there's an atmosphere creating drag. That means you need a seriously heavy, powerful rocket capable of hitting around 4 kilometers per second just to reach Martian orbit. And a heavy rocket like this needs fuel. A whole lot of fuel, roughly 30 tons in one major NASA concept, and potentially more depending on the vehicle. And here's where the real cosmic tragicomedy begins. To bring those 10 tons of fuel with you from the Earth, you need even more fuel just to lift that fuel. And this mass grows.
To carry things, you need fuel, but to carry the fuel, you need more fuel. But when you add more fuel to carry the fuel, you need more fuel to carry the fuel that will carry the fuel that will carry the things.
Exponentially. Dragging full tanks all the way there isn't physically impossible, but it is brutally inefficient. Depending on the mission architecture, you could need numerous super heavy rocket launches just to launch, assemble, and refuel the Mars ship piece by piece in Earth orbit.
Yep.
But wait, you might say after hearing all this, we'll just make the fuel right there on Mars.
Hey, look at that. They heard your question. They heard your question.
It's called ISRU, in situ resource utilization. You extract water from Martian ice and split it into hydrogen and oxygen. Then you combine the hydrogen with carbon dioxide from the atmosphere using something called the Sabatier reaction. That produces methane and water, which can be recycled and
All that is fine, but why is he in a void? Why does it look like he's talking from space?
split again to produce more oxygen. Together, those processes give you
Imagine he's been on Mars all along. He's just uploading videos from there.
components of the rocket propellant, methane and liquid oxygen. That, by the way, is one reason why Starship is being designed with methane engines. In principle, both propellants could be produced right there on Mars. On paper, this sounds like a dream. Bingo, problem solved. But in reality, producing fuel on another planet is an absolute logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
To manufacture tens of tons of cryogenic propellant, you have to send an entire chemical plant to Mars ahead of time, along with a large and
It's not that you need like 1 or 2 liters of the fuel, right? You need tons of it. Literal tons of fuel, and to generate that amount you need that amount of raw material, that amount of equipment, and to carry that you need more. I'll stop talking about fuel.
power system. Depending on exactly what the plant produces, NASA concepts range from around 30 kilowatts to well over 200 kilowatts. And that means either giant fields of solar panels, which are going to lose power during dust storms and gradually accumulate Martian dust, or multiple compact nuclear power units. You have to deliver all of this infrastructure with a whole fleet of unmanned cargo landers. And this
You know how maybe you could do it is send all the equipment and building resources over years, right? You start sending one ship every 6 months, right? And every 6 months you deliver things slowly. All the resources get there. And after, let's say 5-6 years, then you send like a small crew of 2 to 3 people who will go there, use all the resources that were sent there, and then maybe build like a small functioning base. But for all that time, all the things you send will be exposed to the elements. So they might stop working, they might break, But that is like a viable situation that I can imagine.
has to land successfully, be deployed robotically, and run autonomously for hundreds of days before the crew even launches from Earth. You're multiplying the cost and complexity of the mission many times over, betting human lives on an autonomous chemical plant surviving wild temperature swings and massive dust storms. And that's when economics and physics together offer one brutal but pragmatic way out of this conundrum: a
Oh.
one-way ticket. A one-way ticket,
Oh, yeah.
according
Yeah,
to
yeah.
some engineering calculations, is just from 1/5 to maybe even just 1/10 the cost.
Yeah. Because when you consider carrying back the fuel, when you consider the fuel and the resources you would need to come back, it would exponentially increase the amount of fuel you would initially need to go there, right? Because you have to carry all this fuel on the way back, all these things that you want to bring back. But if you just say, hey, it's a one-way ticket, then it's less than what, 1/4 the amount of fuel and the amount of things you have to carry, right? So somebody might have to pull a Matt Damon, start a potato farm on Mars and just start living there. I don't know.
Regardless of the calculation, it would unquestionably eliminate enormous amounts of launch mass, hardware, fuel, and mission complexity. You don't need to drag a propellant plant with you for an ascent vehicle. You don't need the ascent vehicle, and you don't need food and life support for the months-long trip home. You don't need to build a ship to return. You just need to build a house. Okay, yeah, it's more than just a house. You have to somehow build a permanent, extraordinarily reliable habitat and then keep its inhabitants alive and supplied for the rest of their lives. Common sense says a one-way mission isn't just a backup plan either. It might
That is the most
arguably be humanity's best realistic
that
shot.
that is the most realistic way to do it. And you consider all the other circumstances, that is the most realistic way to do it in this lifetime, at least, unless you discover like
Reaching
warp travel
Mars
or
at all
something.
this century. But let's be optimists for a minute. Let's say we found the $1 trillion, said screw the logistics, solve the propulsion and fuel problems, and built a giant ship with a return ticket. And we're off to Mars. But then we slam into the third, and by the way, one of the most merciless of the barriers: your own body. One of the biggest obstacles to coming back from Mars isn't a broken rocket or a lack of fuel, it's biology. The human body is an evolutionary masterpiece.
This part I don't know about. Okay. Maybe they're talking about the effects being weightless or any different gravity has on your body, because your body evolved to live on Earth on this gravity, on like 9.8 meters per second gravity. But on Mars, it's a different gravity. Maybe that will have some deteriorating effects on your body and would make you weaker for traveling back, maybe?
But it's been fine-tuned for just one planet and just one gravity.
Yeah. Like like the astronauts who are on the International Space Station, when they come back to Earth, they have to go through like weeks of recovery process where they adapt to Earth's gravity and Earth's atmosphere, because they are weightless in ISS, right? And they like their muscles start to atrophy, their bone density goes down. They have to like slowly recover and like go back to their normal state. It takes time.
Remove most or all of
And
that load
that is just ISS. Then there is Moon. Then after several planets, it's Mars. You know?
body, being a ruthlessly efficient machine, starts adapting by dismantling itself for parts. Seriously, your body's going to do its thing and say to itself, why waste energy maintaining stuff you're no longer using? A mission to Mars isn't like a 6-month trip to the ISS. It's likely to last up to 3 years. A conventional low-energy round trip could involve 6 to 9 months of zero gravity on the way there, around 300 to 500 days at Mars, potentially much of that time on the surface at 38% gravity, and then another 6 to 9 months of
your
zero
muscles
gravity
will be
on the way back.
almost gone.
And the biological timer starts the second you launch. In zero gravity, the fluids in your body redistribute and shift towards your head. You get a big puffy face and head, and the growing pressure literally deforms your eyeballs. Neighbor's dog. I don't like that dog. You get a big, puffy face and head, and the growing pressure literally deforms your eyeballs. It squeezes your optic nerve. Some astronauts come back to Earth with vision problems that stick around for years. Then come your bones and muscles. In weightlessness, you lose around 1% of the density in your weight-bearing bones every single month. Ooh, that's not good.
That's
More
not good.
calcium enters your blood and urine. That means kidney stones, and your muscles weaken and
I never considered kidney stones, dude. I mean, I knew bones start to lose density and there's more, the calcium leaks into your bloodstream, but I did not, I don't know why I didn't consider it, because it's obvious if you think about it. Oof. Imagine having to pay out a kidney stone in zero gravity.
atrophy. Think of it as kind of like the reverse of going to the gym and lifting weights. You can pedal on a space bike and spend hours doing resistance exercises every day, and that's going to help a little
Yeah.
bit. But in the end, you can't cheat biology.
Astronauts have to work out every single day, or their muscles will literally atrophy and bones will lose density and are at a rapid pace. I'm Black Putman. Welcome back.
Pedal
That is painful.
on a
That is
space
painful,
bike
yes.
And spend hours doing resistance exercises every day, and that's going to help a little bit. But in the
I mean,
end,
they have to exercise to live, you know?
you can't cheat biology. Like in just 6 months of flight time,
Look at that.
you can develop
Look at that.
a level of osteoporosis that would have taken years to form down on Earth. And then there's your heart. Don't forget, it's a muscle too.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a biomechanical pump that works its ass off on Earth, pushing blood upwards against gravity. But in space, the workload changes, blood volume falls, and your entire
Bro, this is boring. Guess what, Anuj? I have an amazing offer for you. There is this thing called you don't have to watch it. There are other things to watch. You can doom scroll in Instagram, TikTok, all you want. It's okay. I won't stop you. You have the option.
entire cardiovascular system starts to decondition. Your heart becomes smaller, while your body becomes a lot less capable of maintaining blood pressure when gravity returns. And we haven't even mentioned the dangerous radiation yet. Outside the Earth's protective magnetic field, you're being bombarded 24/7 by galactic cosmic rays and periodically threatened by intense solar particle events. And
True.
this isn't just your everyday, regular old solar UV. Galactic cosmic rays include high energy protons and heavy ions moving at relativistic speeds.
Yeah.
They'll punch right through the hull of the ship, shred your DNA strands, and
Oh, I didn't
scariest part,
think about that actually.
obliterate some of the dendritic spines in your brain.
Yeah, there is no magnetic field in space to protect you from cosmic radiation, dude. True.
Those are, by the way, the literal connections between your neurons. Your memory gets worse, your anxiety spikes, and you'll get really bad at making split-second decisions. Does that sound like the right combo to you for someone expected to operate some of the most complex machinery ever built on a whole nother planet? Not to me, it doesn't. Okay, anyway, eventually we arrive. Yay, Mars, woohoo! The gravity here is just 38% that of the Earth's.
Oof.
You'd think that at long last you can breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, you've got some weight, solid ground under your feet. Yeah, not quite. You're going to spend roughly the next year to year and a half on Mars. Wait, a year and a half? Why
Yeah.
do you have to stay so long?
Because the orbit.
That all comes down to the iron laws of orbital mechanics.
Yep.
The Earth and Mars orbit the Sun at different speeds, and the most fuel-efficient launch window, when the planets line up so you can get home without burning an insane amount of fuel, comes around only once every 26 months. You can't just
Or so smart. What can I say? Because you guys watch me, dude. I absorb your IQ. ऐसे करके I absorb your IQ through the screen. And you will notice the more you watch me, the dumber you get.
Back in your rocket, hit the gas, and go home whenever you want. You gotta sit and wait until the planets line up again. And that year and a half of waiting is not a break. This is the time when your body
You cringe into 100 way.
lets go of its earthly past. Your skeleton and your heart will realize that you now weigh just about 4/10 as much as on Earth, which means they can just keep dumping all that extra bone mass and muscle tissue. Body doesn't need it? Gone. After 18 months, physiologically speaking, you're gonna be a real live Martian. And that means really skinny with thin, fragile bones and not a whole heck of a lot of muscle. Fine for Mars, maybe. Earth, not so much. Now imagine the trip back. Another 6 to 9 months of
Weightless
zero
again.
gravity.
Yeah.
The capsule splashes down in the ocean. The hatch opens, and now you feel the full force of Earth's gravity smashing and
Would you even
smushing down.
survive the G-force of entering?
Cool. Dude, not cool. For your new
That is so funny because that is exactly how I look when I'm recording my intros for video. Just there, like,
smashing and smushing down on you. Not cool.
I'm like, okay. Hello, no. Sorry. Hello, no. Welcome, no. Hello.
Dude, not cool.
You just like, just practice.
For your new Martian body, this could be a serious medical crisis. Your shrunken heart, completely unaccustomed to handling the load,
Yeah.
likely won't be able to push your blood back up into your brain like it used to, and you'll instantly black out. And your fragile, porous bones, having lost up to 50% of their density, could just snap from the simple act of standing.
Don't astronauts who come back from space missions spend time in like depressurizing chambers? They go into a chamber and they slowly adapt to normal Earth's pressure.
Under your own weight in the now seemingly powerful gravity of this now alien to you planet Earth. During your 3-year mission, you will biologically stop being an Earthling. You know that old saying, you can't go home again? This could literally become true for you. Earth itself might kill you if you try to return.
True. Gravity is so sick, dude.
Since
I mean,
economics and orbital
gravitational
mechanics
force
and
is one of
biology
those things.
all
It's
make
like,
returning extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible. A Mars destined
Space
crew
is so cool,
may
man.
launch full
Space is
well
so
knowing
cool.
from day one.
I wish I got
is a
into
one-way
astrophysics
ticket.
as a
But
kid.
it's one thing to sit in a cozy office on Earth, sip your latte, and nod philosophically as you sign the contract. It's something else entirely to hear that airlock seal shut behind you forever. Welcome to absolute isolation. Take the International Space Station, for example.
Yep.
Essentially, the ISS is just a high-tech suburb of Earth. If anything goes wrong up there, a hull breach or a filter failure or one guy who farts too much, the crew can contact mission control.
Dude, imagine there's a guy who just farts constantly, and because it's a closed system, you keep smelling it until it gets recycled and
Down on
filtered.
Earth, hundreds of brainiacs with pocket protectors and slide rules and big thick horn-rimmed glasses are watching the telemetry in real time, analyzing the problem and helping the stationites decide exactly which buttons to press. The signal delay, by the way, is just fractions of a second. It's nothing. And if the station becomes uninhabitable, docked crew vehicles provide a possible emergency route home.
True.
Alas, Mars is not a suburb. A radio signal traveling at the speed of light takes between 3 and 22 minutes to crawl
Told you.
all the way there. So imagine this. A fire breaks out at your base, or someone urgently needs an appendix removed. You send out an SOS. You wait 22 minutes for it to arrive on Earth. Earth panics. Engineers scratch their heads. They write up some.
There was a recent surgery. I mean, there was a recent news about a surgeon doing remote surgeon's OP on patient 1500 miles away, a UK first. But it's not that bad. 0.06 is what? 60 ms. Yeah, 60 milliseconds is not that bad actually. I mean, yeah, it's a life-saving surgery, but 60 millisecond ping is fine. But on Mars, if you would try to do a remote surgery, at minimum, it's a 3-minute ping. At minimum.
Code it and send it off to you. You wait up to another 22 minutes, as much as 44 minutes, just to begin the first exchange of a single conversation. In a critical situation during those 44 minutes, you either contain the emergency and start fixing it yourself with ingenuity.
And yeah, it is one way. So you communicate and you wait for a response. Let's say it takes 20 minutes to send the message, 20 minutes for it to come back. If they reply immediately, that is, then it's a total of 40-second travel time for the signal. 40 minutes, sorry.
And a whole lot of swearing, or the situation could become fatal before Earth can meaningfully help. So the crew has to be highly autonomous. There's very little margin for error. Now, add in a dash of everyday misery to this soup zone of difficulties. You're locked in a tin can with 5 other lucky winners. Every breath you take is recycled air. Every sip of water you drink is moisture from your breathing. Plus, the sweat and pee of your colleagues lovingly run through filters for the 1000th time.
True.
Yuck. Outside, radiation, toxic dust, freezing cold, and air pressure less than 1% of the Earth's. Just to step outside, you have to spend about an hour checking your spacesuit, knowing full well that any micro crack or puncture or failed valve could myrtleize you in a hot New York minute if you can't reach safety on time. This is the constant daily background stress of your new Martian life.
True.
For years, maybe forever.
Yeah. Because realistically, it would be a one-way thing because of the
Back
reasons we
on
discussed.
Earth, if your neighbor or wife or coworker pisses you off, you can go to a bar, or walk outside.
I feel like this could be like a volunteer program. Take a few volunteers, train them, send them, and all they need to do is live there and send back data. Send back data.
fresh air or just slam the door. On Mars, you can slam the door and storm outside, but only once. Womp womp. Psychologists who study isolated groups know this all too well. In that kind of cramped space, every little thing.
You know what I thought just now? A thought just crossed my mind. That would be a sick reality show. People living on Mars cut off from civilization. Beautiful reality show. Because they're all in a stressful environment, limited resources. Drama will just happen. Will just naturally happen. All you need to do is edit it into an episode.
How a person choose.
Maybe that's how you fund it. You sell the broadcast rights to like a OTT who will turn it into a reality show.
How they breathe in their sleep, how they joke, might be enough to get your eye to start twitching after just a couple of months. And you don't just have to tolerate these people, you have to trust them with your life. Every single second, for years, possibly decades, maybe even forever.
Yep.
Someone might say, come on, Antarctic researchers or submarine crews live like that too. They do, but they have a psychological lifeline. They know that their deployment
exactly.
and eventually.
Exactly. The deployment will end, but also that if they wanted to, they could leave. They have the option to leave. They have the option to go home. But if you're on Mars, even if you wanted to, you will have to wait over a year for the orbit to be back in place and for everything to go right for you to even think of going back, you know?
They get to go home. The one-way ticket Martians.
So you don't even have that option
to count down
of going home.
just won't exist. But what really gets inside your head isn't the fear of suffocating, it's knowing this is forever. Sooner or later, every one of them is gonna look up into that rusty sky, find that tiny, dim blue pixel-sized planet, and realize that's it. Everyone they ever knew, everything they ever loved, they left behind on that little speck of blue
Dude,
light. Every last goodbye before
that reminds me of the pale blue dot. I love the pale blue dot. It's a quote by Carl
they
Sagan.
chose this exile themselves, and they'll have to wake up with that thought every single morning for the rest of their lives. Ooh. Which raises an obvious question. If all of this is so expensive, so logistically daunting, physically dangerous, and psychologically punishing, why go at all? Why send people across the vast, dark reaches of space and down into another gravity well where a cold, rusty desert awaits them without a return ticket? The answer is simple. The dinosaurs didn't have a space program, and we all know how that worked out for them. As long as humanity lives only on Earth, we're putting all of our eggs in one basket.
That is true.
A stray asteroid, a super volcano.
That is true. It is a survival option, but also I feel like humans have this inherent sense of exploration, this inherent sense of wanderlust where we are like, what is out there, right? This sense of wonder, this sense of whimsy. I feel like that is very human. That is something that only humans have. So even if we had insurance for our survival, I feel like we'd still explore space because the curiosity is inherent to being human, I think.
Eruption, a global pandemic, or nuclear war, any planetary scale catastrophe could devastate human civilization and, in the most extreme case, threaten the survival of our species. A permanent, self-sustaining settlement on Mars wouldn't be extreme tourism, and it wouldn't be merely an attempt to
I mean, let's be honest. If billionaires are funding it, it will be tourism.
A backup copy of humanity. The only real insurance policy we have for our species.
That is also a thing that could be the most realistic thing to do. Send people over time, and it will just be a detached colony, detached civilization of humans, unbound by policies and borders of Earth. Because there is no way you can enforce any Earth policies on the civilization living there. So it's just going to be a different civilization. It's just going to be a different colony of humans,
Off planet and setting up shop somewhere else. And the first people to board
it's going to be interesting. Okay. The video is about to end up pausing too much, but it's going to be interesting if we do end up establishing a civilization on Mars, and if they end up developing their own culture, their own customs, their own traditions, and then you eventually put a person from Earth and a person from Mars in the same room, and then this exchange of culture happens. It's just going to be very interesting, I feel like. But Loki's sad that I don't see it happening in our lifetime, at least.
Understand this perfectly. They'll be heroes, perhaps even the saviors of humankind, the pioneers who began the long process of making humanity a multi-planetary species. They won't come home, but here's the point. It won't be because the mission failed, or that the fuel ran out, or the rocket broke. They won't return because that is the mission. It's a brutal compromise without which colonizing another planet in our century is simply impossible.
True.
The first perma-Martians will make the greatest sacrifice in human history. They'll voluntarily give up their home planet forever. The oceans, the forests, the flowers, the blue sky, the very
Earth
air
is
we
so
breathe,
beautiful.
and even Earth's gravity, so that our species has a chance to survive if something goes wrong back home. And their footprints in the red dust will live on for eternity.
Beautiful.
If anything goes wrong up there, a whole breed.
Beautiful. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white. The lightness of day, the dark secret night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. This is a pale blue dot. This is a quote by Carl Sagan. And this is a sun. This is a ray of sunshine, and there that small dot you see is Earth. Right. This is Voyager. Voyager is a probe we sent out of solar system. So when it was about to leave solar system, we told Voyager, a command was sent to Voyager saying, turn around and take a picture of what Earth looks like and send it back. So this is the picture it took, and that is Earth from where it is, where it was in 1990. Now it's like really far away. And this picture, after seeing this picture, Carl Sagan said, look at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. This is where we are, all of us. I love this quote. I love the pale blue dot. I love that picture so much.